Hello everybody, and welcome to my Sindian Set 5 First Impressions. This is, of course, coming off of the video that Zach posted showing off all these new cards. If you would like to see a full rundown of them from the creator himself, check out the video. It's linked in the description, as well as subscribe to his channel and join the Discord. Links down below. It's pretty fun. I'm really hoping that Sindian can get some more support this set, so we'll see if it does, because Sindian is known as kind of the weakest planet, doesn't really have an identity. The cards are good, just not necessarily for Sindian. As always, just a brief rundown. I rate these all out of 15, with it being in 3 parts: art, stats, and ability. Of course, these ratings don't really mean too much, as they're more of just a rough outline of my thoughts and opinions on the card, so my words have more weight than the numbers. Alrighty, let's get started. Starting off, we have Beast of the Conjurers. With art, I think it looks really cool. There's a lot of nice colored markings, and the 3 orbs floating from its tail are neato. I will say though, so it's supposed to be kind of the Beast of the Conjurer line that you see in some of the cards, specifically that make zones, and this one does similarly too. It just looks more robotic than, what you would expect, because, they're wizards, but it just looks robotic. But otherwise, I think it's a really nice card. Stats, disappointing. 6-star for 260, 260. I guess it is even, but I feel like it could receive a bit of a buff, because right now it's pretty weak. Even if it's just a buff in the power stat, because this one is kind of meant to be killed at some point. Although its ability, I think, makes up for it just a bit. When the creature is played, add any one zone to your planet. When the zone creature is killed by an attack, add any one zone to your planet. And this is good specifically for Sindian, because Sindian usually needs a lot of zones, and this is a good way to get them out early. The issue I can see with this, though, is, you don't get it early enough, so it gets pretty useless by the end of the game. Besides the fact that, you could get to 6 zones or something, which would be pretty funny. But otherwise, this is only really meant to get you going on zones. I could see this being used in other decks that need zones, or just as maybe a good way to start off, but of course you're going to have to get this early in the game, or else it's going to be pretty much worthless. Overall, not a bad card, but I'd say it probably won't see too much play. Next is Drangeling, and this follows a Drangel line that's been going on, which every set there's been a new Drangel card. First of all, the art, I love it. It looks cute, especially the dragon. I don't know, the dragon just looks adorable, and the egg has some nice spottings, and overall, I really like it. Stats, nothing too special. It's a 3-star. It's supposed to be pretty weak. And then the ability, this zone and killed creature's name is also Drangel, which is going to be really good, because when this zone creature is killed, shuffle up to 2 killed 6-star Drangel creatures into your galaxy, gain 3 stars for each. So this is kind of a smorgasbord of different items. First of all, it can work with combos of stuff like Elite Drangel to be brought back and stuff, because it is also named Drangel. And then it says shuffle up to 2 6-star Drangel creatures, which is good for just quickly recycling your Drangels. And then you also gain 3 stars for each, which means that you can get a total of 6 stars, which is pretty dang good. Yeah, it's a 3-star gain. Overall, I think this is a good card and really helps the Drangel archetype. But Zach, when the Sindian Planetary Collection comes out, I would like you to maybe focus on the Drangels a bit more, whether it's adding a single card or adding a few cards to the Drangel line. This isn't a bad archetype, and I think if it got more cards, it would become really good. But right now, if you used all the Drangel cards from all the sets, you would have a total of 10 Drangel cards, 2 of which being a resource, and another 2 being from the planet Sindian, which means that that's only like 8 Drangeling creatures in your deck. So I'd like to see more focus on them, but otherwise this is going to be helpful for slowly improving the Drangeling lineup. Next up is Lidlod. The art, gotta say, it's pretty goofy. It's got a nice shadow, which gives it some depth, and I think it looks pretty nice. Overall, pretty bland though, kind of just singular colors going on. Nothing too super interesting, but it does look goofy. Stats, honestly, for a 4-star, it isn't too bad, but it can't kill anything, and it's pretty much supposed to be there as a wall, but it's also not really a good wall. Yusha was talking about how a lot of 4-stars could get over this health line, so it might need to be improved. I don't think it needs to be improved, because if we look at the ability, if this zone creature is killed on your opponent's turn, during your next turn, you can attach it to one of your zone creatures. If your opponent would attack and kill the attached creature, you can kill this attached card instead, which is actually pretty powerful, and kind of you can use it as a second life for anything, and that can be really helpful. And I think getting it killed by another creature quickly is actually better, because then you can bring out a strong creature and then just give it like a protection shield, basically. Almost like Lidlod would, like sit on top of the creature's head and just like, I don't know, sit there. Yeah, so I think that this could be a good card. However, it does have to be killed on the opponent's turn, which means that there's multiple removal options. I think it would be cool, but also I don't know how much play it's going to go. But overall, decent card. Next up, we have Zenshi the Assigner. First of all, the art made by Gavora is really nice. It's based on a old TCG card, which I think is pretty cool. I really love the cloud. It's got a really cute face, and the spikes coming out of it give it some texture. And Zenshi himself looks very commanding, and I think it was a really well done redefinement of the old card. Stats, for a 7-star, it isn't too cool. Power 200, it can get over a bunch of small creatures, but that is about it, unfortunately. And then the health is 380, which ain't half bad. It can get over a lot of things. Its ability, once per turn, you can kill one-handed creature to kill one zone resource attachment. Or, if you kill a handed Sindian creature, you can kill one zone creature instead. Honestly, kind of a middle-of-the-ground ability. This can be good for getting rid of stuff with the resource attachment thing. The thing is, resource attachments aren't too big these days. It still can be good for specifically attachments, because there are a couple attachments that you could get rid of this. And then you also have the option, as long as you kill the Sindian creature, to kill one zone creature, which is a good removal option. But considering the lack of power, I don't know why you would remove it and then go for just a 2-swing, because 2-swing is kind of, yeah, it's unfortunate, because the thing is, if this was a 3-point swing, then it would make a lot more sense to remove something, but 2 points compared to 3 points is actually pretty big. So it's unfortunate. I don't think it's a terrible card, but once again, I just don't see it seeing too much play. The removal option just doesn't work well with a 200 power stat line. Next, honestly, the best card in the entire reveal, it's Spirispear. First of all, the art, I actually thought that his thumb that's like back was like a nose, like at first glance. Not saying that was bad. I mean, I think this is a perfect drawing. It's got this really cool spear, and the spirit, although basic, is just cute, and it looks like it's coming out of those 2 stars. I think it looks good overall. Stats, now you might be wondering, 2-star 40/40, that's kind of stupid, but this directly ties into its ability, When another creature is cosplayed, this creature permanently gains 20 power and health for each star that creature has. And this can be really, really broken, because if your opponent plays an 8-star, guess how much this guy is getting? Like 160. He's bumped up right up to 200. And then you could also play something else with this, like a 6-star, which means that you've got like 320, which is not half bad. And especially if you can get all those zones out. Like if you have 3 creature zones, you bring out Spirispear, then you bring out 2, say 6-stars. You're getting 240, which means you're at 280. I don't know. This could get really broken. I could even see this being played in Pelisium, where you bring it out and then you bring out 2 8-stars. It would cost a lot, but it would give you a really powerful lineup. I don't see it being done, though. It would be really slow. And then you can also like attach things to this to give it more power and more health. And I don't know. There's too many things to say what could happen. I'm kind of just rambling right now of, what could be possible. It might just become Englorp, where it just falls flat. The differences with this one is the fact that as long as you're playing creatures, slowly but surely this guy can gain so much power. And then there's also an attachment that may make this card incredibly broken later on. Anyways, I've literally just rambled about this card because I love it so much. Yeah, I think it's going to be a cool card to play around with. Next, our first combiner we've ever been shown off, the Army of Justice. So first of all, the art, I love it. I love all the different guys. You got, Trom, you got the Utopian guy, you got Angel, you got Trent Sponge, Aplu, Cloudicorn, Boggy Booga. Oh man, I forgot the one guy in the back. And then you of course have Humongous Ancient Rockman. And this is like dang perfect, if not for the fact that it looks really wonky when it's split. It's because Boggy Booga and Humongous Ancient Rockman aren't aligned properly, so you only have like a third or 2/3 of the face on one side and the other third and 2/3 on the other, which makes it look really awkward. But I bet when this was together, it looked really cool. Stats. This thing, of course it's a combiner, but it's really relevant because of its huge stat line. 400 health can get by a lot. It's kind of like the Scardians with its amazing stat line. And then the power is able to kill just about anything. So overall, just a pretty amazing stat line. And the ability, only once you can add 1 Galaxy 3-star or lower Barrow, Sindian, or Gaios creature to your hand. If this zone combiner creature would be killed by your opponent, you can kill one of its combiner cards and have its power and health instead. This is also a pretty great ability. First of all, since it is Barrow, Sindian, or Gaios, this can be used in a multitude of decks to just easily get, especially for Gaios, 3-star Gaios, you could easily get something like a Knopf out. Barrow, this can get something like an Aditrox, and then Sindian can get stuff like that. And it's lower too, so I mean, like, you can get Orbov, you can get a bunch of cool weak creatures. And then what's also cool is it is kind of like an Aditrox, in which it can take 2 hits to kill, because of course it'll have your power and health, but you can technically take 2 hits. I think that is pretty cool because it's already difficult to kill this, but once they kill it, they can just take 1 off and the opponent would have to kill it again. So overall, I think this is a great card. This definitely could be used in some decks. Next is 2-star Temple. Nearly every planet now has, besides I guess Pelisium, and I think Teklar, has one of these things that is able to search for any whatever Sard creature from a specific planet. So you get things like 4-starred feather, 3-starred thistle, and usually the planet that they go to is the one with the most focus on a specific amount of stars. So Sindian has a lot of 2-starred creatures, and this one works perfectly. Add 1 galaxy 2-starred Sindian creature to your hand, and this is perfect. This is perfect for getting things like Orbob and Spirispear, and overall, really good card. It will help Sindian a lot. Next up, we have a really rare named Lost Souls. The art I think is pretty neat. I like the background, and then the colors are really cool, and the way it twists I like it. And the ability, free play up to 2 of your killed creatures from different planets. Their power and health become 50, and they lose any abilities they have until after they are killed. And this can be pretty decent. I'd say I might bump this down to a 3.5 just because it makes them pretty weak, but it is kind of good for, you can play it and then you can get stuff out there to annoy your opponent and they'll have to kill it somehow. It's also good for some combos. You could bring out Rowdy and then you could kill it to free play Serpent, stuff like that. So it's not a bad card, although I wouldn't really see it having too much play because it weakens the cards to a point that it's not useful unless you want to use it for a combo. And even if you wanted to use it in a combo, it's kind of a waste of space. Might be sided, but overall, not a bad card, just might not see play. Finally, this is the one that I was talking about that could combo with Spirispear, Cannon Shrine. Art, it's kind of all over the place. This was one of the leak cards, but it's kind of all over the place. It's not bad, just there's a bunch of symbols and stuff. It's kind of at a weird angle too, but I kind of like the design on the top. It makes it look like a shrine. So I think it's a pretty nice card, but definitely the weakest art out of all of the ones that we've seen today. And then the ability, attach only to one of your creatures. If your opponent attacks, they must attack that attached creature. So this basically can stop cards from killing something like Spirispear, allowing Spirispear to stay on there and keep gaining stars, probably from you putting out stuff. And once again, this could make Spirispear incredibly broken. This could even end games if it's pulled off correctly. So I think it's overall a good card for Spirispear. Otherwise, unless you're trying to protect a creature for some reason, it really isn't that good. But I think just because Spirispear exists, this card will be good. So that was my first impressions. I lost my train of thought multiple times throughout this video, so I am so sorry about that. It's heavily edited too. I ramble about stuff and that's about it. I'm not the most knowledgeable expert. That's probably why I'm the only one that does art, because I'm not as, technical as some of the other pros. If you want to meet those pros though, join the Discord. It's a lot of fun. We do tournaments there. You'll have a lot of fun. Anyways, thanks for watching, and remember that happiness is a warm puppy.